absolutely no one asked for it, so we're giving you, I don't know, Nana Octopus. That'll do. Yeah. So yeah, like I said, we'll do a bit of a thrift video today with Agent S. She's hiding. She's like the dentist off the old Oral-B commercials, and yeah. Say something, Nana.
Hello.
Geez, that's inspirational. If you haven't already, make sure you unsubscribe and dislike for Nana Octopus. We'll see you later. Hello and welcome back to another episode. I'm Minion J. I work on behalf of the Disgruntled Octopus. This isn't the Disgruntled Octopus. I don't know where he is. He's gone missing in action. But long story short, today I want to talk about how YouTube influencers such as myself, TikTok influencers, people on Instagram as well, cost me $500 yesterday thrifting. So how did that actually play out? I'm a bit sad to say, but long story short, my mum came down and my father came down. I was supposed to call him Poppy then, but my grandfather as well and truly gone. But long story short, they came down for the weekend and they wanted to go thrifting. Well, my mother wanted to go thrifting. So I thought I'd do a little bit different, and it bit me big time. So I gave her my phone when we were driving between op shops and thrift stores. So my cousin came with us. She was on her phone. So one was watching YouTube Shorts, one was watching TikTok. And whatever they brought me, I had to buy. And needless to say, the information that I'm getting through YouTube and TikTok influencers cost me a lot of money. And I'm going to go through quite quickly today to show you what they made me buy. And you can let me know how I went. So if you are new here, I will zoom into my face so we can take you for a little bit of a walk. I'm going to turn off the CC cam in a minute so you don't get too don't get too used to it. This is my setup. So basically a bit of a walk around. So I primarily sell YouTubers. Yeah, I could sell YouTubers. After yesterday, I could probably go into human trafficking. Skylanders and board games and Dungeons and Dragons stuff. So primarily, maybe 75 to 80% of my outfit is contained to this garage. As you can see here is all the stock behind me. It's what I purchased yesterday against my will for a lot of it. And the swap team and trap team and Skylanders, my arcade machine. I get asked a lot, can I actually play this, or is it just for demonstration? Yes, you can play it. It's actually playing Altered Beast at the moment, which was a Sega Mega Drive game. It also was on the Sega Master System. Don't recommend it on the Master System. Very watered down, very broken. And it will go play by itself because I tried to have a rant a little bit earlier and got my ass handed to me. But that's not what you're here for. So I will turn off seasick mode. Whoop, there we go. It should be it should be off. So like I was saying before, it's when we're driving, we live in Canberra. There's about, I think we went to 6 or 7 op shops yesterday, or thrift stores if you are overseas. We primarily went to the Salvation Army, Vinnie's, which is St. Vincent de Paul's, and one independent thrift shop. So long story short, like I was saying a bit before, we'll play a little bit of video of Nana Octopus and me in the car. And they were talking about a Kim Kardashian DVD that they came across, and thank goodness they did bring it to me because I would have stopped the challenge then. So I set myself a hard limit of $500. Didn't tell them that. So they pretty much, I don't know how they did it. I don't know if they went by TikTok, then they typed in, reselling or resale, or it was part of my algorithm. I've only just created a brand new TikTok account for my Disgruntled Games, which primarily sells all the Skylanders. However, whatever was being fed to them, I can hear a little bit in the background. And needless to say, I came up as well. So I'm notoriously bad. So if you do see people on YouTube, or if you do see people on TikTok talking about how they pick up, arcade machines are probably a good thing. But if you pick up Skylanders, or if you pick up books, or if you pick up clothing and find out jeans later on, be very, very hyper vigilant as to what they actually go for, how the market sits at that particular point of time. Because I think a lot of the jeans that my mum brought over to me, and needless to say, I've got a very sore arm because these things weighed a ton, right? I think she got 7 pairs of jeans, and I'll tell you a bit later on how much she did pay for them. Put down in the comment section now if you want to let me know what you think she actually paid per pair. And needless to say, the sky's the limit because a very vast majority of that $500 went to these jeans. So 7 pairs, and I won't tell you how much they were because you can probably reverse engineer it. So without further ado, we'll get straight onto it. So our first stop was in Salvation Army, Belconnen. I did pick up I can't remember what I picked up. I don't think I picked up anything there, actually. No, we didn't. So we didn't go there. So needless to say, that's probably about 10, 15 minutes from where I live. Mum and my cousin, Agent S, probably hadn't had enough time to ingest what they've been told or hadn't actually seen anything that they've done. Then we moved on to Salvation Army Jemison. I actually probably picked up the one or two things of that day that I actually purchased myself. I did say before, I do sell board games. I sell Dungeons and Dragon books and primarily Skylanders, right? I am an everything seller, but I'm in the process of niching right down. I did have about 1,000 things in my store. I've got about 500 listings at the moment, primarily video games. I've got some books, I've got some Skylanders, got some Dungeons and Dragons, and all those different things, right? So theoretically, I could say that maybe 90% of my sales are primarily from a replenishable Skylander listing, right? There's about 4 or 5 Skylander listings. They account for 90% of my sales. So, needless to say, I bought a Super Munchkin Guest Artist Edition. There's currently one listed, or before I listed this one, there was one listed on eBay for $29.99. I paid $5 for it. The one on eBay was open box. They said it hadn't been played. But if you look at the photos, and if you do sell board games like I do, I don't play them. I'm one of those people that kind of adapt my personality. It's a bit special being ADHD, right? In the sense that I can mask and kind of assimilate with people in different categories. So I haven't played Skylanders. I have played Skylanders since selling them. Before then, I primarily did a lot of research. It was kind of almost like research, putting your face in front of a fire hydrant, and off you go from learning. So I would strongly suggest, if you are going to bounce out of this video in the next couple of seconds, take the time to learn a niche and something that's accessible to you, not necessarily drive to 6 thrift stores and you've got it all good to go. Look at bringing that stock in either through a supplier or a distributor. Not at the first stage, right? I'm not trying to push people down that kind of path from that perspective, but I've found over the last 2 years, primarily using a replenishable model in the sense that these things are secondhand, right? Yeah, Skylanders died off in 2017. These are replenishable in the sense that I source them from people all over Australia. I have some suppliers in the gaming section. So, for example, they might own their own game store. They might buy Switch games and people might come to their physical location and trade stuff in. They take the trade in and then they sell them to me. So I offer around about 40% of market price for Skylanders, which is probably in the higher echelon of what you're actually going to get. Hence why they all come to me and replenish. So without going too far into it and without sounding like a complete dickhead, I'm probably making other people more rich than I am myself. So like I said, before it was $30, before I'm on my little ADHD tangent, $30 open box, records that hadn't been played, but all the cards and everything in the contains of this game was completely out of the shrink wrap internally. It was just all sprayed out. So I marked it at $50 plus $10 postage. It weighs under a kilo. I normally do that flat level postage. For me, that works primarily for the Skylanders and whatever else I'm doing this. If I have like a bigger board game, which I don't have on me at the moment, I will make it $20, depending on the cost, because I add the insurance into that and I also add the different things into it for the bigger boxes. So that's the first cab off the rank. That's my purchase. So now we're moving on to Agent S and Netter Octopus's purchases. I can't explicitly remember which one was which. I'm pretty sure that 90% was my mum. So we're just going to blame her. So then we moved, we were still at Jameson, and it's a good YouTube video, I'm out of screen. She brought a brand new in-box Lego flowers bouquet set. If you have been watching for a while, you know that I was quite big in the Lego space. A little bit of background story for me. I can't help but talk myself. I'm egotistical, apparently. I promise it's the ADHD. So what I did, I'm in the military, and lucky enough, when I got out, I worked for a mining company here in Australia. They made 90% of their workforce redundant, so I went crawling back to the Defence Force and told them, because I had nothing else to lose. I told them I wanted to get a promotion because I was literally the state or New South Wales quality assurance manager, not, regardless of not knowing anything about quality assurance. But my role was that, and process mapping and business and analysis and all those different things. So I went back to the military and said, hey, look, I want to come back on the proviso as you get promotion. They put me through university, and what happened was, in the long-term part of that university, is I actually did an online commerce course. I can't remember exactly what it was. It might have even been called online commerce. And it was pretty much, the gentleman there, the professor, was teaching me, or teaching us collectively, but I loved it, right? So even since I was a little kid, I had like an entrepreneurial spirit. Loved watching, there was a TV show, it was kind of like one of those, I won't say it's a documentary, but real life show. I can't think of the word for it at the moment. It was called Money, and it would teach you, investment advice and how to spend your money wisely and all these different things. It was on Channel 9 back in the 90s. But they had a segment where they're basically saying that little kids could sit on the corner of the street, not if Judd is watching this, not what you're thinking, mate. Put up a little table and sell lollies or candy, all these different things. And I was enamored. I wanted to do that. So what I did, so I went down to the local shop, spent, I think it was $20 back then, it was probably a lot of money, buying all this lollies and all this candy and all these different things, only for my mum and dad to say, no, you're not doing that. Because needless to say that they are more appearance protectionist, in the sense that they didn't want to be seen by their neighbours as having their kid out the front selling lollies for money, kind of thing. If you can get that mindset from that perspective, right? So, needless to say, I had $20 worth of lollies. Probably got eaten. Then I went house to house in my street, which is primarily housing commission or public housing back in those days. I think we were the only 3 or 4 in the street that actually owned our property, which, like, pretty much fed into that that appearance my parents had. But needless to say, there was a lovely old lady across the road, which we affectionately called Nan. She was quite quite a hard taskmaster, but equally lovely, and directed everyone, call her Nan, regardless if you were probably 12 or 13 at the time, all the way up to probably her age, which was in her early 70s or early 80s. I can't remember. She was very old. So she said to me, look, hey, I'll give you $100 to mow the yard. So her yard was probably like the size of a football field, especially for a 12-year-old that just wanted to make money. But needless to say, I mowed that yard religiously, took $50. I couldn't charge $100 for an old lady. In hindsight, I should have. But like I said, that pretty much goes from there. That's another tangent story we went on. But going back to the universities, we had to actually create our own fictional company, and then we had to create a group one as well. So we created, like I suppose, a fictional group company. And if you are from Australia, you've heard of Sendle. We kind of preceded Sendle. So I'm not going to say Sendle stole my idea, but we thought of that, well, primarily me, because if you've gone to uni with 18-year-olds when you're about 26, 27, you're, no, I wasn't 26, maybe I was 32. I can't remember. This is, needless to say, I'm 42 now, whatever it works out to be. Needless to say, 18-year-olds and 19-year-olds have got better things to do with their time than think about fictitious companies. So we made a company called Move It or Remove It. I can't remember what it was called, but it was a player removalist. Very similar model to Sendle. Sendle, basically is like a mail courier or a mail company in Australia. Notoriously bad. Do not recommend. Not sponsored at any capacity. Never accept a sponsorship from them. I work for lots of money. So by all means, until Sendle reaches out with bags and bags of cash, I pretty much will solidify my stance is that do not use them in any capacity. Needless to say, that this removal company would do the same. So if they had extra capacity in their work schedule, in the sense that the way Sendle works, I'm probably going to butcher the the business model, but this is kind of according to Minion J, right? So they contract excess for couriers, right? So couriers will prepay a block on a aircraft for 100 parcels, for example. And they may only have 70 parcels come in, so they've got that 30 parcel block or that parcel block for 30 items that they're not using, but they're still paying for, right? So what happens is Sendle comes in and says, hey, look, if you're not going to use it, you're going to lose it. However, if we pay $2 for a lot, when you normally charge Minion J $100 for a lot, we can fill that and you're still making a little bit of money, but you're not going from that perspective. So that's generally how the Sentinel system works, is that they're using, and by all means, if you can articulate it better than me in the comments, please go and I will pin your comment. But they basically use the excess that's not being utilized by companies that have already been pre-purchased or prepaid for, to get it at a cheaper rate than to mark it up and on-sell it to people like ourselves on eBay. So our process was very similar for the removal company. So this is before even Sendle existed, right? So we we kind of like, had the workings of it. And by all means, if you want to go run with this idea, go for gold. I do not care in the slightest. So a removal company will have full-time employees where they probably pay 38 hours a week, and they've got a truck that's sitting there for 38 hours a week. If they're working that, we'll just go for ease of use, we'll say 40 hours a week. They may only have jobs that have for 30 hours or 25 hours or 20 hours, depending on how busy that period of the time is. Kind of like a little bit like Uber as well. I'm pretty sure Uber was coming up the ranks as we were doing university. So we're going to do a very similar system in the sense that we would pre-purchase that excess from the removal company, in the sense that if they were paying their employees for 15 hours just to sit around, smoke and drink coffee and do nothing and potentially play an arcade machine, we would basically say, hey, look, you're paying these people $100 an hour for ease of use. How about we give you $25 an hour and pre-purchase those blocks? Then we would sell them on a website with tiered systems, in the sense that, if you had a 3-bedroom house with a bathroom, it would be this price. Or if you had a 4-bedroom house with 2 bathrooms, it would be this price. Obviously, incremental payment. This is going back a long time ago, so I can't remember the pricing system, but that's pretty much where it came from. This is a long way around saying this is how I started my Lego business. Can't have tell my medication's cutting off. But this is a little bit about background for me, right? So a lot of people, it's kind of like the joke of Joker, from Chris Nolan. The story keeps changing. So long story short, with the build your own company, kind of from that perspective, is that I sat down with the professor and I said, look, hey, my mind, I don't know if anyone's got ADHD out there, I dare say a lot of resellers do, but I would, another side tangent story. My love is English, in the sense that I love writing, in the sense that novels like Tory the Geelong Flipper. So by all means, if you haven't checked out him out, check him out. If you don't like his writing, don't attribute it to me. But I love rewriting people's emails and making them sound infinitely better than what they are, using a lot of big words. So I'm a bit of a wordsmith in that respect. But on the flip side, is my weakness is I can't actually start from a blank canvas. So I'd have my friends or other people reach into me and say, hey, look, this is my email, this is my essay, this is my whatever it is. Can you have a look at it and fix it up and make it look special? And that'd be well and good. So they'd be getting, I wouldn't say it's plagiarizing, but they would be getting higher marks because I had to start from scratch. That'd be a credit average where there'd be distinction in HD. And that's not to say that it was the stuff that I threw on top of that. It was just by virtue that I was able to help them out. But their essays were perfectly fine before I fixed them up. But like I say, going back around, we're catching up. Sat down with the professor and said, hey, look, my brain's shooting off a million miles an hour. I'm thinking about, to make it easier for myself and go back to the English story quite quickly, is that I would wake up, we would have I've got a book over there, Shakespeare. Oh, give me 2 seconds, I'm just going to run over and get it. So this is not the book we had, but this is a complete works of Shakespeare. We would have a Shakespearean play, such as Coriolanus, or war poetry, or 1981, which is not 1982, is what I constantly referenced in that essay. And he's like, did you read the book? Well, no, I was born in 1982. Long story short, again, so with the English stuff and all those sort of things, I would get to the point where English by far was my biggest subject. We did a business degree, but we didn't minor in anything. But however, you would say that I minored in English. But like I was saying, is that I would wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, 11 o'clock at night, all these different things. I had to have a notepad and pen next to my bed. The simple fact is things would pop in my head. I had to write them down, because if I left it to the morning, I did learn this numerous times, is that it would be gone. So I was frantically writing. Back then, I think I had an iPhone 4, so I was opening up that Notes app and typing things because it was very political, and I was often the mediator for some reason. I don't know why, but like to say that I would write things to talk to people about. So I sat down with the professor, and by all means, this is jumping around 100 miles an hour. I apologise. Sat down with the professor and said, "Look, hey, I'm not comfortable making a theatrical. I probably would make a theatrical comedy. I would make not a theorized the theoretical. There we go. Theoretical. I'm not cutting this out. See, what you see is pretty much what you get, right? So I told him I'm going to make a real company or a real business. So he said, you can't make a real company, we'll make a business. So what I did is I actually created an eBay store, and I primarily sold Lego. So what I would do back then is, I've told this numerous times before, I would import Lego from the Lego shop online, Australia. Back in those times, back in 2015, I think it was, we didn't have a Lego shop in Australia. We only had the online store, which wasn't very known about. Lego was in its probably the height. Basically every bit of Lego you could buy, you could sell instantly on eBay for a profit. I would go to Toys R Us. You do remember those? Go to Toys R Us on my lunch break, which is about maybe a 5-minute drive, if that. It was literally just down the road from where I was doing uni. Go there, pick up a whole bunch of Lego sets, very similar to this. Obviously not this one. Then come home and take some really, really, really dodgy photos. I used to be, well, I still am a maniac for cleanliness. Don't look at my desk. But my bed would be instantly made immaculate, right? So I'd lay them on the bed, take a photo, take a photo, buy my body weight in bubble wrap, and buy my body weight in brown paper, which is like butcher's paper or something like that. And that's how I would ship these things. I would bubble wrap them to the hell. So literally, you could throw them off a big building and they would bounce and no damage. I would wrap them in brown paper, get a texter, hand write the address on it, take it to the post office. Being at uni, I was only doing 13, 14 hours a week, which is a bit different to what they do it now. I have a friend that's going through it at the moment. And then I would spend the rest of my time learning the business. I would learn sourcing techniques. I would learn, marketing techniques, and I will talk about that in a second. I was learning customer acquisition. I was learning repeat buyers. I was learning what actually drove buyers, what buyers were looking for. All these different things were going through my head. Like I said, 100 things an hour. So I was frantically writing notes in the notepad. Couldn't read my notes more often than not. This was way before ChatGPT. All right, I'm back. So long story short, I know what I was talking about. We had the Amazon guy arrive. My daughter's going for a sleepover tonight. I thought it might have been them, which was the husband of the person I was just talking about regarding them studying uni at the moment. So I didn't want to talk about them when they were just on the other side of the garage door, but it wasn't them. So we are getting seasick again. So long story short, then I went outside to say hello to them, just be civil, get along quite well. Then some neighbours across the road are moving in, which is why I got the garage closed today, which is a bit different to normal. Then they asked for some assistance lifting heavy things. So I can't win. So I'm back. So like I was saying before, I had a lot of excess time whilst at university studying all these different things in regards to the business, right? So taxation, GST, and I had the beauty thing of I was studying business, right? So I had really good relationship because I was a mature age student. I wasn't mature, but I was a mature age student. So we had very good relationships with the professors and the doctors and the academics at uni. So I had access to political lecturers. I had access, and this is not an egotistical thing. It's just saying what I did to get the business off the ground, right? So political lecturers, management lecturers, I had lawyer lecturer, so the law, I love business law, something wrong with me. Economics, couldn't understand a word he was saying, but he was fantastic. He was giving me some advice in regards to economy and obviously the way that the system works in that respect, as to what could potentially affect the business, or what I should take advantage of depending on what the flow of things are. These are primarily lunchtime conversations. They just love talking about their chosen field. So I was happy to listen to them, and they were happy to talk. So economics, data analysis, which I literally hated data analysis, but I pretended I like it to talk to the lady about data analysis. Yes, that does come into business. And a few others that I can't think off the top of my head. Obviously, English as well. So just a bit of a side story. We're getting it for this video is going for 4 hours. So the English lecturer was really, really, really nice. He was fantastic. Really loved him. Very passionate about his, teachings, about his coursework, and the courses in general, and all these different things. So I said to him, what I want to do with this business, I kind of try to relate it a little bit to to English, is that I want to make it more theatrical, because I think whilst he was an academic in English, I think he was more more drama, and all those different things. So he came up with the idea, jointly. I give him full credit for it, that the store or the eBay store and the business, all those different things, should be more theatrical, to build a consumer base, to build a customer base, to build something people resonate with, to, I suppose, give you a competitive edge against your competitors, for lack of a better term. Before anyone asks, yes, I have been to Ski Dubai. I did ski in there. It's in the Mall of the Emirates. If you haven't seen it, or if you haven't checked it out, I assume it's still there. Just type in Mall of the Emirates Ski Dubai and it'll come up. It's like, if you're old as me, your grandparents probably had those freezers, or your parents had those freezers that wouldn't defrost themselves. You had to scrape all the ice out and all those different things. It was like skiing on that. So I love skiing. I'm in Canberra. I want to go skiing more often, but I haven't been skiing pretty much since Ski Dubai. I've been to the snow, but pretty much 2011, 2012 was the last time I went skiing. Hence probably why I'm fat, but enough about my weight. So he was the one that's talking about making it theatrical, make it embellished, make it larger than life, make it all of these different things. And because of my ADHD, I lapped it up. I thought it was fantastic. So I came up with a Lego store as the business. And the business was, like I said before, was buying Lego for a cheap price and on selling it for a markup. Back in those days, accounting was the other one. Accounting was another subject that I didn't do too well in. So long story short, I wasn't really tracking my buying cost, or obviously to the T, but I was still profitable. So not as much as I'd like to be, but for the purpose of a shitty business, for a university course, I was doing all right. So, like I was saying before, I'd go to Toys R Us through the day. I'd go to Big W. I'd go to Kmart. I would go to like specialty stores like Toy World. If they had clearance, I would buy the clearance out. The simple fact is that I'd probably get it for maybe 30, 40, 50% of RRP, which is the recommended retail price. Or if you're in the States, I think it's called MRSP. Buy that, put it back on eBay, then, like I said, skim off the top and all those different things. But going back to the English guy before I go back to the story. This story's going somewhere. Just keep with me. Like I said, make it theatrical, make it, grandeur and all these different things. So with the Lego store, I thought, I'm a mad Halloween person. I'm pretty sure I've told before. If you look on the other side of this garage, I'm not going to show you because it's a complete shit fight. But Boris, I might show you Boris. We'll look at Boris. Basically, here we go. So Boris is there. So that's all you're going to get at this stage. Needless to say, it's not very presentable. Neither is this at the moment, but you get the picture. Excuse me. So mad Halloween fan, right? So I decided that I'm going to make the store about a vampire that's trying to take over the world. Sound familiar? With his, and he works from a crypt. Sound familiar? So it was a vampire called originally Lucifer, but I'll get into that in a little bit. So he had all these monsters. He had names for them. He had like the warehouse werewolves. He had the postal zombies. I can't remember what I called the zombies. All these different things. So this character and this store still exists, and I'm in the process of rebranding this to get away from Lego. Lose my voice. So he would have like all these different things, and that persona would be who I adopted when I was talking to people on this eBay store, right? So if someone messaged me, I would assume the personality of then Lucifer, you could probably see where this is going, then talk to people. And I would send them emails out. And as soon as I dropped off their Lego set off the post office, I used to write a stock standard message saying that back in this day, I didn't think to write it down in a Word document or a keyboard shortcut or anything along the lines of that. I committed it to memory. I would say something along the lines of that. Thank you for your purchase. Just letting you know that the warehouse werewolves have packed your item. They've given them to the goblins to pass on to the postal zombies. I can't remember what the postal zombies were, but they're basically Australia Post zombies, right? And if you listen really carefully, you can hear the screams of terrified onlookers as they carry your parcel to the post office. And it was very elaborate, right? People lapped it up. They loved it. They thought it was fantastic. When eBay lettered you, like, that's some good English, isn't it? After I told everyone, just letting you know, for complete transparency, I studied English. I can't speak it, right? So now we've got past that. So when eBay let you send out newsletters, I used to do that on a full moon. So every full moon, the monthly newsletter would go out with a percentage off with the basically latest offerings, and it would be written in that very vampire-esque, taking over the world kind of thing. And this is where the Disgruntled Octopus came from, right? So when a tangent to a tangent to a tangent. So one of the newsletters is that we found a new source. So in the sense we found Bricklink. We in the sense of me, because I ran by myself. I found Bricklink because I had mentioned before, as I was in forums and Facebook groups that primarily sold Lego, had a very tight-knit community from that perspective. And someone said, "Hey, look, have you ever thought of Bricklink?" I've never heard of Bricklink, which is surprisingly, because I've been selling Lego for probably the best part of 2 years at this stage. But in one of the newsletters, I said, "Look, we found a new, supplier. He basically trawls up buried treasure or sunken treasure, and he looks a little bit angry, disgruntled even. It wasn't an octopus at that stage. It was just this mysterious, underwater creature kind of thing. Like, oh, it's probably even a kraken, not me." So that was the origins of the Disgruntled Octopus in that newsletter. And many, many, many years later, it was fleshed out in isolation of that. So it was funny just how the ground works, how my brain works. It's a bit special. So just a little tangent on a tangent on a tangent on a tangent. The Lucifer's Bricks and Pieces, what the store was originally called. The reason it was called for that, and before everyone clicks off because of Satanology or whatever you call it, was because I had a beagle. My beagle was called Lucifer, and he was hell incarnate, right? He was evil incarnate in the sense that he was lovable, he was cute. As soon as the door could open, he was out. He was like a prick that would sit 10 meters in front of you and just sit there and smile at you when you got a meter in front of him. He would rinse and repeat. So he'd run another 15, 20 meters, sit there, smile at you like with that dog bloody beagle look in his face, and you would get your exercise by that. So the amount of times I've had calls from construction workers or calls from the police, I did have a call from the fire department, all these different things. So when I was living in Queensland, this is years and years and years and years ago, he used to get under my fence, regardless of what I did to my property that we had at the time. Put cinder blocks under it, cemented, did everything you could. This dog got out, and I would get phone calls from people and agencies, in the sense of the police and the fire brigade, all these different construction workers, kilometres away, it's miles away, saying, "Hey, I've just got your dog here. Can you come pick him up?" I was like, "Oh, where is he?" Thinking that he's in the street. No, he was like 5 kilometres away, 10 kilometres away. He would go where his nose took him, and 9 out of 10 times, he was very road smart. This dog, he's probably more so than me. He would only be caught by food. The construction worker would be sitting down having his lunch. This beagle with his dumb look on his face would come over for a snack, grab him by the collar, ring me up. And I was forever telling my boss, "Hey, look, sorry, Sarge, do you mind if I go out and pick up Lucifer again?" So, long story short, so he was the basis of the vampire at the start. Then we did have a customer come through, and this is that customer feel. I suppose you really need to get a feel for what your customers are and what their tolerance levels are. I did send it out. I did have an artwork on my stickers. I don't know if I still got it, but it was basically I'd print out my Dymo 4X labels many years later and have like a border with a Grim Reaper on it and all these different things. And it would come, even now if you buy something from me, it's like the Disgruntled Octopus and a la carte bricks and pieces, which is what it turned into. So, long story short, to a long story to a long story, is that we had this lady buy from us, and this is no disrespect to her. She probably the likelihood of watching this channel is probably non-existent. But anyway, I don't know what I'm apologising to her for. But she messaged me and said, "Hey, look, I didn't realise these came from the devil." And I'm like, "Well, they don't." Like, and I was in two minds back then. I don't think you could send pictures of on eBay. So in the sense that if I was messaging someone, and I might be wrong, this is back 2016, 17-ish. I didn't think you could. That wouldn't have been that late. Maybe 2012, 2013, 2014, around that period. Lucifer died in 2017. Poor dog. It still cuts me up. I love that dog. So long story short, this lady messaged me and said, "I can't buy from the devil." I said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Letting you know that this isn't. You are not buying from the devil." Needless to a couple of other people on YouTube probably think otherwise, but I said, "Look, he's our beagle. He's quite mischievous. He's quite naughty, hence why he got the name Lucifer when he was 6 weeks old, because he escaped from his beagle farm." So another slight tangent about Lucifer, because I love this dog. When he was 6 weeks old, we went to a legitimate breeder, like a beagle breeder that was quite prevalent, because I don't support puppy farms or anything like that. Personally, I would rather go to a pound or something along that, but I always wanted a beagle. My wife's obsessed with Cavalier King Charles, so likelihood of. But yeah, long story short, side effects. No puppy farms, legitimate breeder. so so he was fixing up something in his yard, and he rang me up. He said, "Look, hey," because we went that weekend before. My wife and I, we weren't married back then, so my fiance and I went there to pick out Lucifer, and we went out the next weekend to pick up Phoenix, which is a Cavalier. So we had two little puppies at the same time. Got a phone call from the breeder and said, "Hey, you're not going to believe this. I've lost your dog. Did you want another one?" And I'm like, "What?" Like, there was Lucifer and another one. We called him Meathead because his head was massive. He had like paws like my fists at 4 or 5 weeks old. And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then he rang me back. He goes, "Oh no, I found him. He was hiding in the garage." So this dog got out of the pen. I still don't know why. This should have been the reason why we probably should have chosen Meathead. Got out and basically, went missing for 6, 7, 8 hours, and it wasn't until he got hungry and he started howling, we got lost or something like this, that he actually found this dog. Before anyone puts in the comments, they gave you a different dog. Lucifer had a very distinct pattern on his head. His breeder name, or the name that the breeder gave it, was Broken Arrow. So yeah, it was definitely him. So like I said, that's pretty much where Lucifer got his name from. Jeez, this is a long-winded story. This is almost going to turn into a Tory video. Jeez, 15 minutes already. But like I was saying, is that this lady, geez, I'm going to catch up with my stories. I'm going to have to get a tick book. So this is the problem when I don't take my medication. So the lady reached out to me and said, "Hey, look, I'm not going to buy from the devil." I said, "This, primarily it's my beagle. I love my beagle. My beagle is quite mischievous, and this is where it's came from, right?" And she's like, "Oh, okay, but because of my religious beliefs, I can't do it." So I said, "Look, hey, I'm more than happy to, give you a refund." So what she did is she actually refused the product. So she got it delivered. She returned it to sender. I said to her, "Look, hey, I'm so sorry that you feel this way. This is what come back a little bit earlier to what I talked about, customer retention, customer acquisition, and stuff like this. Don't do anything that will piss your customers off, especially on YouTube." So I said to her, I said, "Look, I'm so sorry. I'll give you your money back," and all this different thing. She goes, "Well, I don't want the money because I can't accept money from the devil either." I was like, "How many times have I got to tell this lady I'm not the devil?" Which might be too far off. So I said, "Look, hey, look, I'm more than happy to that. But what I'll do, because you've bought the product, you've paid for it, you've returned it to me, I'll donate that item." So I actually gave it to a Salvation Army toy run or something. So basically kids in hospital or disadvantaged kids. We gave, it's going to sound really bad, the really shitty Lego, in the sense that, like, bad buys, everyone does it, regardless. I don't care who you are or who you'd say you are. you will still make bad buys. I still make bad buys today, and my mum and my cousins still make bad buys. So we are getting to that story. So my really shitty purchases, so the stuff that didn't resonate with Lego's customers, obviously couldn't unsell it. I would donate to, like to Bunnings or to the Christmas tree in Kmart, all those different things, just to get the stock out. Because I'm more a minimalist mentality, because back then my Lego was pretty much contained within this racking system. This racking system that you see behind me, woo, here we go. Oh no, I need to lose some weight. Anyone, give me some drugs. Ritalin is not working. So all this racking system you see behind me, that used to house my Lego, right? So I have it running long ways, and if it was the small boxer sets, they would sit on the middle shelves and just stacked up. Probably a little bit of autism as well, but I used to love walking into the garage, walking down the stairs at the garage, just seeing them all lined up. Get to the point where I became very attached to the box art, and I have said before in numerous videos that I'm an aesthetically pleasing kind of person, in the sense that if it's all set up, not so much at the moment, but if it looks neat, looks tidy, I really get attached to it. And I got attached to looking at the Lego sets, Lego boxes, all lined up, size and weight and all these different things. Just being special like I normally am. So what I did from there, Lego. So with the Lego, I know we're still trying to close off 16 different stories. So the Lego store was Lucy's Bricks and Pieces. This lady said that she couldn't accept from the devil. So what I did is I donated that set to a Kids Appeal, for example, along with all the other shit that I couldn't sell. Then off the back of that, I thought to myself, well, I really, really, really need to reassess this name, because I could be potentially alienating or isolating myself as a company by this time. And I have said numerous times before, if you have watched my back catalogue of my videos, is that I was quite big in the Lego space. There was no big competitors in Lego when I was doing it on eBay. So I was pretty much, if you had the listing report where it told you where you sat, I'd probably be in the first three, to tell you the truth. I have an egotistical problem. I can't apologize enough for that. It's just who I am. But yeah, like I'm saying, there was no real competitors. I was pretty much, in it to win it, and that's my mentality. And I don't make any excuses for that. So, like when I tell you things, in the sense of giving you advice, take it as advice. In the sense, don't take it as gospel. In the sense that with Skylanders, as I've said numerous times, is that people are getting the point across now. A little bit of a tangent to a tangent to a tangent to a tangent. Tori, I'm coming for you, mate. You are better off selling them to me. I do pay good prices. I had a few people reach out to me through the week to sell me their collections, because I'm in it to win it, right? So I literally promote insanely high. I make them dirt cheap. I have seen listings on Skylanders on eBay at the moment where I'm selling a vast majority of characters, and I have said this numerous times before, they go for $1.99, right? Selling characters for $1.99. Someone's got 5 of those particular characters, $1.99 characters, for $50, like on an auction. You're not going to get any bids. So by all means, like I said, please reach out. I'm not going to give you advice. I'm not going to walk you through it, because you are creating competition. I will offer to buy it off you, and I will answer very basic questions, in the sense that what you need to look for in sense of broken parts, how you need to test them. Yes, you do need to test them, and how you become a little bit better in the space, in the sense of photos and all those different things. But I'm not going to get a photo of a tub like I have before and saying, hey, do you see anything in here that's worthwhile? If you are selling them to me, I don't care if you pay $20 to me and selling me for $200 if that's what they're worth. I'm happy to do that. I'm more than happy to do that. So, like I said, your buying cost, I don't particularly care. I'm not going to give you $2 above what you pay. If you pay $10 for them, they're worth $300 to me. You're getting $300. But on the flip side, if you spend $300 and they're only worth $15, I'm not going to be interested. So by all means, reach out to me. If you are looking at on forwarding them or on selling them, I'm not going to give you all the tips and tricks to burn myself. Learn that from Lego. I'll tell you that. So, like I say, I didn't want to isolate people like I probably just did in that little tirade then. I didn't want to isolate people. I didn't want to isolate customers. I wanted to have as much market share as I could, because I'm egotistical and a maniac. So I renamed the Lego store to a la carte Bricks and Pieces. So a la carte, if you don't know, is Dracula backwards, which fits in a lot better with the vampire persona. And also is my favourite character out of a game called Castlevania. So, if you're old as me and you had a Sony PlayStation, you might have come across Castlevania Symphony of the Night, sympathy. Give me some sympathy. Symphony of the Night and Castlevania. And Alucard was the main character. Love that game, and that's pretty much where the Lego character came from, right? So we've closed off that part. That decision, it may have been coincidental. It may have been completely on the money. My business probably tripled over the next 12 months because of that decision to rename it from Lucifer to Alucard's. I was only on eBay. I did at that stage, I think I had a Facebook page as well. I don't think, and you could make the argument is that people don't look at the seller in the sense that they don't look who the seller is. They just look at the product. But I had repeat customers in the sense that I would recognize their names handwriting these things out. So, like I was saying, is that my business, it may have just been an economic shift. It may have just been more people into Lego. It could have been anything. Pretty much, that name change assist in that capacity. So, getting back to what we're talking about. So that's the Lego story, right? So, long story short, with the assignment. Jesus, this video's going forever. With the assignment, I pretty much used that as my basis. So instead of making a theoretical business about some made up bullshit business and all the different, perceived issues and perceived problems that could come across, obviously capitalizing customers and all these different things, I decided to create an eBay business, which is what was the Lego store. Needless to say, I scored very high on that assessment. I think I ended up getting 94, 95% out of 100. Coincidentally enough, out of 100%. But yeah, like I said, I walked, probably was one of my only subjects that I walked away with a HD when I was at university because I absolutely loved it. I was very drawn into it. If you do have ADHD, you probably find that stuff that interests you, you burn very bright. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. I'm gonna get a cough lolly on my back. Right, I got a cough lolly. I was just watching a video from Christian Forrest Finds online where he was having a go at, I think, Tory for the length of his videos. I think Mel back from Burnout was the same. Sorry, Christian. You might as well throw me back in that boat. So long story short, burn very bright. I've taken some medicine then in the sense of Ritalin, so hopefully you'll kick in. If I do kick in, you'll probably notice because I'll be hyperactive and bouncing off the walls for a little bit until it burns off enough for me to metabolize it. So like I was saying, is that's pretty much how I created the Lego business. There are other videos as to the rise and the fall of the Lego business. The Lego business, for the best part, has been dormant for the last 2 to 3 years because Lego, has become a lot more competitors in the market in the sense that big box companies are selling on eBay. Lego is pricing obscenely high for their Lego sets. Back in when I used to sell it, it was quite cheap per piece. They are rehashing a lot of their old sets in the sense that they would retire something, 2 weeks later they bring it out. Generally, to do well in Lego is that a set would retire, it would appreciate, and because it would never appear, see the light of day again, people would want it for collections and all these different things. Now the Cavaliers go off. We're going to persevere through. So long story short, like I said, that store's been, for all intents and purposes, Toby, is he going to stop? He's going to stop. Fingers crossed. For all intents and purposes, that has been left to stagnate and dormant. And it is pretty much, for the most part, a replenishable store in the sense that I sell poly bags. Poly bags, if you don't know, I don't have any on here. I really need props here one day. It's like a little plastic bag with about maybe 50, 60 pieces in it where you can build like a little set, all these different things. So primarily, I went from selling big Lego sets, massively bigger than this, to selling little bags. And that was primarily to streamline the process. I could put it in a padded bag or use stamps, which I do not recommend in any capacity sending anything untracked. I was watching another YouTuber, Kirsty Matt Exchange, I think they go by. Their threshold's $100 for untracked. I don't, well, what I'm going to say, I don't badmouth anyone on YouTube, but I do that all the time. So if you are watching, please do not do that. For all intents and purposes, the Disgruntled Octopus store, 99% of it, might be a little bit less, or it is transitioning quite heavily to that, is plus postage, right? You pay $1.99 for a Skylander, you're paying $10 postage. You buy 100 Skylanders, you're paying $10 postage. I on the Lego shop or the Lego eBay store quite quickly before I go into my purchases or mum's purchases. Um, to be competitive in that market, you have to sell it untracked. In the last week, I've had 4 people reach out. They buy multi-quantity listings in the sense that they might buy 3 or 4 poly bags. Well, you say 2 poly bags. It is more cost effective for me to send them as 2 separate padded mailers with 2 stamps on each, opposed to buying tracked postage. Then you've got no recourse when they turn around and say, hey, look, I only received 1 package, or I didn't receive any package. You do not have tracking, you do have no recourse, so I just give them the money back. They don't open up an item not received case. They will message you and pretty much say, hey, I haven't received it, which kind of gives me the thoughts that maybe they are a little bit shonky, but I don't want to prove it. Let's say otherwise. So for all intents and purposes, I'm going to zero that store out probably over the next 24 to 48 hours for the listings. I will move to probably the markets like school markets, school fairs, all those different things, or even toy fairs if I do go that way, and sell those poly bags there. If I, like my mum was talking about yesterday, if I go to a boot sale or a flea market, which we only got one in Canberra and it's really shitty, I don't want to be negotiating with people over a $10 poly bag. But if I go to a school fete, and I think I have said before, I can pretty much capitalize on people being insane. School fates. I went there one last year, our friends, which my wife's just taken her daughter around their house for the sleepover. She sold buttons, ones where you make your own. She bought a button machine off AliExpress. She bought a whole bunch of buttons material off AliExpress, a whole bunch of, I won't say counterfeit stickers, but you can pretty much know where I'm going with that. And I just thought it was going to be a complete waste of time. She made thousands of dollars in the space of a day at a school fete for that. I don't know if that's replicable. That was last year. I helped her out with that, just with the stall, because I think if you have been watching for a while, you'll see up here, you probably can't really see it too much. I'm rebuilding my Sega Master System collection, right? It was my first console, absolutely loved it. I was telling her about this, and she actually gave me her Sega Master System that she was going to donate to the Vinnies or the Salvos, because I've been sitting in the garage for years and years and years. So she gave me that completely free, and a whole bunch of games, the Mega Drive, pretty much like the score of the century for free, right? So I kept the Sega Master System, sold the Mega Drive, and as thanks because she wouldn't take any money, I gave her some assistance on the day, just running and Toby helping with the stall, and she literally had a line up to Kazoo. Take 4. All right, he's back. He's heavy, but he's back. All right, say hello, Toby. That's me. Yeah, so like I said, I gave her a hand. All right, Toby, inside. No barking. I gave her a hand at the school fete, and the line was astronomical. So I would, with a bit of pre-planning, is take my poly bags there, list them at $10, and just clear them out through that way. So in the sense that I think the good old days where Lego used to appreciate is probably long gone. So I will liquidate it through that way in the sense of still making a decent profit, but moving it probably in the space of a couple of weekends, opposed to a sale or two every 3 or 4 weeks at the moment. Give me 2 secs. All right, we're back for take 19 of the 4-hour long video. Yeah, so like I said, I'll probably liquidate the Lego that I currently have in the poly bags through the school fates, toy fairs, and all these different things. The ones that I've got have retired. I'm trying to move the camera down. Have retired, so they do probably, they will sell at that $10 mark quite quickly. Got probably about 500, 600 poly bags. And if I went to a couple of school fates, I dare say I'd probably do $1,000 a day because they're insane. Um, but because we live in a very populated area, right? So take that into consideration. Before I lose my voice and probably run out of film storage on the phone, I'm going to go through quite quickly. So this is the stuff that we picked up from yesterday, carry on before we went on for the 19-hour sidetrack. So we just left Jameson. So like I said, she got this Lego set. The Lego set was $25. I don't know if I said that before. It retails for about that $60 plus postage. This is one that I'll probably keep as a thank you gift or a school present for one of the kids. My kids are in later years of high school, year 10 and year 12. So if they go to a birthday party, it's in pretty good nick, the box. There is a bit of slight edge creasing on the side, but for someone that just builds Lego or likes Lego or likes flowers or something like that, it's a fantastic present for that. I wouldn't sell it. Like I was saying before, is Lego is notorious for recycling their sets, so they'll probably retire this one, and 2 weeks later it will be the same set with maybe a different color, purple for that plant. And so that's $25 down the drain. Thanks, Mum. What else do we go? So then we went from Jameson to Philip, Salvation Army Philip. She did pick up. While I was looking at the books and the DVDs, they had a reshuffle of the store there. They'd moved it around a little bit. I don't really think it's for the better, but that's my personal decision. Preference. I don't know. Oh. All right, now we're back. Hopefully the audio's back. Something's flashing. Anyway, so she picked up Diablo 2, and there is another one. So a Diablo 2 big box from 2000, and also the battle chest for Diablo 2, which has got the expansion, all this everything. So these were $3 a piece, so $6. Probably one of the actual profitable items for the day that she's picked up. So I think I'm not going to throw shade, but I think she got this one. Well, it's not so much shade. It was actually good for once. I vaguely remember hearing Mitch from Retro Rescuers. Can't speak today. He was talking about big box video games. I think in one of his TikToks or one of his shorts. I think that's where she got it from. So paid $3 a piece. This one's complete. This one's missing the expansion pack. So what I've done is I've listed this one for $50 plus postage. And what I've done is I'm actually going to plop that in as a bonus and shoot them off. This one doesn't go for as well, probably around that, well, missing a disc. It's probably around that $10 to $15 mark plus postage. There are sold comps for about $30 being posted, like complete in better box condition. This is pretty rough. So it's going to be like one of those, kind of bonuses that you don't talk about. Like I didn't list them together. But the simple fact is, if I list them together, someone will go, oh, it's missing the Lords of Destruction expansion, whinge, whinge, whinge. However, if I send it as a bonus, they can't whinge. So it's $6, probably in the profit. So I don't know what the sell-through rate on these things are. I'm moving my camera. It's probably not a good thing for bin cam. So needless to say, like I said, that's probably one of the better ones she chose for the week or from the day. They were sitting in the kids' book section. So Diablo, if you don't know, it's a game from early 2000s. I think Diablo 4 came out a couple of months ago, probably a year ago. Quite sought after, quite a cult following per se. Yeah, Diablo. I played Diablo 1. I haven't played any. Well, I have played Diablo 3, but I haven't played 2 or 4. So that $50 is probably a little bit too high on the end, for the simple fact is that the box is quite beaten up. It does have sold comps around that $75 plus for nicer boxes. But like I was saying, is that I'm trying pricing things to sell, and because you're getting that second bonus, if it hasn't sold within a week, I might take some more photos and showcase it does come with the battle chest, and I probably dare say it will move quite quickly then. It's by virtue that why I didn't list it at the same time before anyone asks, is that I was going to sell them separately. And it wasn't until I discovered that the battle chest didn't have the expansion disc that I decided, stuff it, I'll just chuck them in together. All right. Continuing at Philip, I'm going to throw J Ride Flips under the bus here because I know I heard his voice and he was talking about electronics and he was talking about clock radios in one of his shorts, one of his TikToks, I can't remember which one was which. My cousin was watching TikTok, and I think Mum was on YouTube Shorts. I can't remember, might be vice versa. So he was talking about clock radios, or someone was talking about clock radios, but I'm 90% sure it was his voice. And because they came across their clock radios. So these clock radios are $7 a piece. This one here goes for about $11 plus postage, so needless to say, waste of money. The Sony, this is the Dream machine. So this was $7. This one goes for about $20 plus postage. Very basic. And this one here, they're all $7 each. I really wish this is where I should stop the challenge. So this one here, this one's the Dream machine. This one's $7 also. It goes for about $20 plus postage. So you can't blame mum for everything. So I bought something for myself. Couldn't help myself. I bought myself a fog machine. So this was at Salvo's, brand new, open box, for $25. It's not going on eBay. It's just for me, for the YouTube channel. I have heard murmurs of that His Highness is planning coming back at some stage in the near future. So that fog machine may be a prelude to him coming back. And she also picked up a What DVD. I'm not too sure who she was watching or where she got this one from. It's brand new and sealed. She paid $4, but it was 50% off. So she paid $2 for a brand new sealed DVD. Goes for $15 free post, untracked. Not ideal. Okay. So then we went from there, and this is where it really hurt. We went from Salvo's in Phillip to Vinnie's in Phillip, and she was watching a jeans reseller. I can't remember who it was, but I got my suspicions. And she picked up a whole bunch of True Religion, which, needless to say, I've only ever seen one pair of True Religion in the wild. And true to the challenge, because obviously I'm an idiot and I've got nothing better to do with my time other than waste money. Lucky Skyline is profitable. She made me buy 6 pairs of True Religion, and I did buy a pair of jeans myself, which don't fit, so wasted money on that. Like very thick stitched, like, kind of, I have said this before, is that the sense of that it's called like a rodeo stitch. I think that they go by Page jeans. I think it's Page. No, it's not Page. I'll work it out. I'll put it in the comments. There is a certain style of jeans, like ladies' jeans, women's jeans, that is very rodeo centric. Cowgirl, cowboy kind of thing. So they've got that big, thick white stitching. Have a look for that. It goes really quick, or it used to when I used to sell jeans. So we've got another pair of True Religion jeans, another pair of True Religion jeans, another pair of True Religion jeans, and I hope they're authentic. They're going to her if they're not. And another pair of True Religion jeans. One of them is hemmed. I didn't see it was hemmed whilst at the shop. Otherwise, I would have put it back. I would have said, hey, look, no, I'm calling the line there. Be very mindful of the fact is that hemmed jeans, and I think they're all men's, hemmed jeans generally do diminish the price of your jeans, right? So that's what I have found previously. And this is where it's going to sting. So Aussie Nerf slipper, you're going to love this, mate. They were $45 a pair. And so don't say I don't do anything for YouTube. So like I said, I've authenticated them, so they are real. I don't know what they are. So they are vintaged models, so in the sense that they were made in the USA. They are being authenticated by Reddit users. There's a True Religion Reddit group and a couple of other people I know in the space that have authenticated them for me, which is good. They are the smaller sizes in the sense of 32, 33. There's no 35, unfortunately, or 36, because I would have worn them myself. They're flared. There's one hemmed. There's boot cut, all those different things. I told Mrs. Octopus that I was doing a YouTube video, so she decides to open the garage and try and pull the car in on top of me. So I've got to film that. $45 a pair. So $315 for the 7 pairs. That hurt a lot. So on the back of watching influencers, on the back of watching YouTube people, TikTok people talking about jeans, true religion. If you see them, pick them up regardless of the price point, all these different things. Needless to say, I did have a slush fund that I could have put towards something else, but I did want to do it for this primarily. These YouTube videos don't get very many views, so like I said, it's not for clout or for chasing. It is primarily to tell you not to pick up mindlessly of what YouTube, TikTok influencers are telling you to do, especially at different points of time. Those videos that they're showing you, one that I came up in, I filmed 18 months ago. So, like I said, that particular market may have died. I don't sell clothes anymore. I haven't for the best part of 16 months. So that goes to show you how old that video is. I don't think it was very good advice back when it stood. So I do need to measure them, do need to photograph them. I'm in two minds whether just to on-sell them at cost to someone else, just to get rid of them. Because like I said, I do not want them sitting in the store. They don't fit me. If they fit me, that's been fantastic. I would have had like 7 pairs of jeans in the rotation. Like I said, I really like quick sell-through rate. Yes, it's getting towards winter through here. But like I was saying, you think you would learn. So like I said, I had $500. So please do not, waste your money especially if you don't have it. If you have bills due, if your kids want to be fed, you've got all these different things to come into play, your health. Do not buy things off the back of what YouTubers or social media people tell you to buy. So then we went to Vinnie's in Tuggerong, I don't know, Tuggers. She picked up 2 DVD sets for $9 each. They were 50% off there as well. They ended up working out to $9 too. They had sold comps for $40 for both, plus posts. So negligible. Like I said, I'm going to put all this stuff onto, with the exception of the stuff that could probably work on the Disgruntled Octopus channel, like Diablo's on there at the moment. If it is anything to do with video games or Skylanders or that kind of things, I will put it in that store. Alternatively, they go into the Octopus store. Sorry, the Alacar's Bricks and Pieces, which is going to be rebranded. So we've done those DVDs, the what's. We're getting to the end. She bought a Kino inflatable remote-controlled cooler. So one of these, this was $8. I still don't know why. So she bought this. This is one of those things, and it's brand new in box. It's brand new, open box. It's never been used. Everything's still pretty much in there. I haven't tested it out. I still don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what it is. 4 easy glide, sturdy wheels for indoor and outdoor space. Zippers to keep drinks cool. Unhook the clasps. Removable shoulder strap included. So I don't know. Maybe it follows you around. I'm not too sure. But they're the kind of promotional items that you see at clubs, you see at pubs, you see all these different things. Kino, if you're outside of Australia, I don't know if you have Kino, but it's like a lottery system localized to pubs and clubs in Australia. That's my understanding. It might be further afield, but we're just going to say that. So that was $8. Promotional items. Kino probably doesn't have a big cult following. Maybe there's some old ladies or some old men that want an esky that will follow them around. I really don't know what that's worth. I didn't see any listed. There probably wouldn't be. I don't know how much of a market there is for Kino. So I'm just going to put that as an $8 loss. So that pretty much sums up what she bought. So like I was saying, is that she bought the What DVD. She bought the 2 DVDs. She bought She bought the Diablos. She bought the jeans. She also bought the cooler for $8. And the clock radios. The clock radios are a complete bomb. There is one that probably is somewhat redeemable in the sense that it will get all the money back for all 3 of them. I'm in two minds whether just to give it to one of the kids because they always sleep in. Put it next to their bed, obviously if their phones die or something along that. The jeans, I still don't know what the jeans are. If I wasn't seeking a dopamine hit or something like that, when I said, hey, no, put them back. $45 is an insane price point to pay for jeans. Each, like I was saying, is that I used to pick up Levi's. I'm quite big on buying and sourcing for myself through the thrift stores. I will buy Levi jeans if they fit me. And I used to pay $6-7 a piece. Now they're up to $15, $20. At Vinnie's, they're $30. These were $45 a pair. So I do not recommend going out and buying jeans. But that's for you. So as to what I bought a Astro print, and it's actually numbered. It's signed at the bottom. It's kind of a little bit emerald. It's got a moon. It's got some alien landscape and all these different things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on the background of the videos or somewhere as a background. When I do the lives and when I do the filming from the computer, it's pretty much just a bare wall behind me. So I might actually put that up as just as a bit of a difference because I like it. And I did check it out. It is numbered, I think it's number 380. One did sell in auction in the States, which was, I think it was like 170 or something like that. Sold for about $150 or $120 US. So there is a little bit of value in that painting, but I quite like it. It's going to stay here. So that is what they bought. Like I was saying, is that she brought me a jigsaw puzzle down. This is, I don't know. I told her to take it home with her. She went home today. They went home today and they left the jigsaw puzzle. So quite quickly, the fog machine was mine, the painting was mine, everything else was her purchases. Let me know in the comment section below what you think of the purchases. To me, it's probably something that I wouldn't buy. Like I was saying, is that I did have some fun money for marketing to, I suppose, for lack of a better term, waste. So what I've done is I said, hey, look, go for gold. I may get a slight profit on the jeans. I might get enough, like, I have seen some listed. I haven't gone that too far into it. Some listed. I haven't checked the sold comps. This is why I keep telling you to learn a niche. For these things, they take me 2 seconds. I get them out of the back. I put them on a portal, test them, then they get, I change the quantity on eBay, replenish a listing. The process, if I get if you have seen previous videos, I get tubs and tubs and tubs of them. It might take me an hour for a very, very big box to do. Like my daughter, my youngest, she's very extrinsically motivated in the sense that she wants money for Roblox. She will test them for me, so she'll sit there and just test them and put the ones that don't work aside. Then what I'll do is I'll go back and test the ones that she didn't get to work. For the simple fact is, some of the later games wouldn't recognize elements from the first game, so like little magic pieces and stuff. So I'll go back and check those, which takes about 5 minutes of my time. Then I'll go through on eBay and change the quantity. So it is infinitely easier from a sourcing perspective and a selling perspective, and from a niche perspective to be in a niche. I know that's probably too many niches in a sentence. But like I'm saying, it is infinitely easier for me to run a business whilst working a full-time job and making some serious good coin on the side, primarily sticking to 1 or 2 niches, in the sense that Skylanders, like I said, are 90% of my sales. Board games have slowed down a little bit, but I expect them to pick up now that we're moving to the colder months, and also Christmas time. Obviously later in the year they'll pick up then again. If you are looking at board games, I would strongly suggest, as what I showed you with Munchkin, wherever I put him, he's over there, buy brand new sealed board games. I do buy old board games that have been used, that are pre-owned, but I buy them from collectors. So basically collectors, gamers, in the sense that they're immaculately looked after. More often than not, they're sleeved, in the sense that if they've got cards, they're in like kind of top loaders or penny sleeves. And these things are meticulously accounted for. Like they look after their product, right? Stay away from Monopoly, stay away from Scrabble, stay away from those games. There probably are ones out there that are looking for. But if you want my advice, and like I said, advice is that just take it or leave it. Look for your brand new sealed games, obscure ones like Zombicide. Cheap. Don't pay stupid amounts of money for them. If you come across Zombicide, don't come across like Munchkin. Some Munchkins go for decent. Like I said, I wouldn't have picked that up if it was any more than $5, because it's only $50. But your more boutique board games that are brand new and sealed can go for decent money. Just make sure you're checking the sold comps and checking the listing. Don't scan the barcode, see what's listed, and think you've hit the gold mine, like Mum did with What's, because there's one currently listed for $457 if you scan the barcode. It doesn't go for that much money. Hence why she wanted it. So wrapping it up, I did speak to my beloved Uncle Wayno and Judder. I did have the opportunity to send my parents out for once. So this is what's pretty much going to negate that $500, right? So what they hurt me in regards to those jeans and everything else I bought yesterday, she picked up two big tubs, two big boxes of, and this is the smallest of the box. You can see the other box on the bottom under the cooler there. It's a fair size. Like, go across. It's completely full of metal CDs, death metal. Pretty much I've gone through a majority of these. I don't sell CDs. I don't know CDs. But they are, I've gone through them. They're all pristine. They're all brand new. So there are, like stuff that I've heard of, and generally speaking, the rule of thumb that I go on for CDs and DVDs, if I've heard of it, there's a good chance it's probably not worth anything. So you got Megadeth, you got Machine Head, lots of Machine Head, lots of Megadeth, lots of Megadeth. You do have like, I don't even know how to pronounce that one, but collector's editions and special editions and all these different things with DVDs and all those different things in there. The DVD ones and Nickelback. We've got Nickelback in there as well. Death metal and Nickelback. Nickelback. There we go. Anyone want a coaster? Put it in the comment section below. I'll send you a coaster. And like I say, we'll move Keno out of the way just for complete transparency because I don't want to piss off Graham, Aussie Nerf Flipper. And make sure he keeps me accountable. So, like I say, this one is completely shockers with CDs in there as well. Uncle Wayno and Judder did say it was a goodbye to, pretty much hit the road running and go pick it up. So that was very close to where my parents live, up near Newcastle. It was probably 2 suburbs over. And the lady said, look, hey, I'm getting a lot of inquiries because it was about 200 CDs. 200, they put it down as death metal CDs. And Nickelback for 200 CDs for $100 Australian. So if you're in America, that's probably about $60 for 200 CDs. Probably £50. I don't know wherever else there is. We'll go from that. 50 or 60, go from that way if you're overseas. For 200 CDs. So what they will be done is I will go through them. This is my moment to throw shade at Whatnot. My plan was actually going to Whatnot, but before I got banned, if you watch that, and I did watch Dora the Flipper's video to try and circumvent the ban or reach out to them and speak to them. No love, no luck. So I've reached out to about 6 or 7 times. I've gone to Reddit and asked them. They've given me alternative email addresses and they're not responding to those. So quite honestly, and hopefully Judder hasn't gotten to 3 hours and 16 minutes into the video. However, I'd be very, very wary of how Whatnot will operate in Australia, in the sense that if current performance is to go by, I'm sticking away from them like a sore thumb. For the simple fact is that I've sent them 7 emails. I know Judder said in his video people have emailed them as well. They're not getting back to them. If you're moving into a new market, and this comes back full circle to what I was speaking about earlier, you want to build an audience. You want to get sellers on side. You want to basically bend over backwards to do things, not ignore people, not ignore potential sellers, not ban potential sellers. I still don't know what I was banned for. It's kind of a piss poor excuse. If I had a problem, I have bought off Dora the Flipper, supporting him. I've got a couple of basketball cards. I still don't know why I bought them. If I had a problem with that order, what is the likelihood of Whatnot rectifying or assisting that? If they cannot answer a simple email to an email box where they say they'll respond to you within 48 hours, 2 weeks later, like I said, I really don't hold much hope for them, and probably it's for the best not to to go near them. But yeah, like I said, my plan was originally is to do maybe a $20 minimum for these CDs. If anyone comp at $20, put them on the a la carte bricks and pieces. It kind of fits that aesthetics with the vampire and all those different things. Plus postage. So what I would do is I would combine postage. So if someone buys a CD, they pay $10, and obviously escalates the more CDs they buy. $10, flat shipping. And what I was going to do with the remainder under $20 was to actually flush them out on Whatnot for $1 start. So if people get them for $1 plus postage, so be it. Good for them. But alas, that's not going to happen. But like I was saying, is I will go through this afternoon and go from that way. I'm losing my voice, so I'm going to wrap the video up here. Thank you very much if you have got this far into it. Let me know what you think of these longer form content videos. Let me know if you've got a suggestion for an arcade game. I can put it on there if you know one. That is a multi-board. I do have single PCVs, which I have said before, but for the purpose of these videos, I just want a multi-board run for those different things. It has different games on it, 1,000 games or something. So if you haven't already, please like, comment, subscribe, and do all those different things, and we'll see you next time. Bye. Boop.